Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
We are.
Good morning.
Morning Woodward Show here at Big Boy Live on Rochester Road. Adham, Beydoun at the moment is going to be about 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
As we just found out.
Yeah, and we apologize for the way the background looks right now. Normally we're setting it up when Adam's here, but, we did a little panic drill. Yep. We got the thing, and the show's up and running. The show's up and running, and it's good to be back on the morning show with my man, Jeff Iafrate.
Always.
What's trending with Jeff today?
Yeah, well, today we have something very special we got to get into. That's Stephen A. Smith's comments about the Lions. Dan Orlovsky went on First Take and talked about that. He says the Lions are a playoff team. I feel that way. And Stephen A. Smith said, I got to see it. And his argument or his rebuttal was, when's the last time they made the playoffs? Or when's the last time they won a playoff game?
Yeah, well, in the 90s.
So he's got a point there. But for Dan Orlovsky, he's very confident the Detroit Lions are going to make the playoffs. And the stat he brought up, which is ridiculous. The Lions lead the NFL in this stat. It's 4.6 yards before they get touched. In the NFL right now, I think the league leader in yards per attempt or yards per rush is 4.4. So the Lions are actually leading in before they get touched more than teams are in their rushing yards.
And you know what that means? The offensive line is doing their damn job.
They
are moving people to the point where, like you said, they're not even getting touched till 4 yards down the field. And
it's
that's
ridiculous.
We saw it in preseason when the starters got their chance to go at it, and now we're even seeing it with the decimated line, which to me even speaks more volumes for what the hell's going on with the Detroit Lions, because it's like, all right, we have our starters, but now we have depth. When have we ever had that? It's always been, if we lose one guy, well, there goes the season. Might as well wrap it up right now. But now we were down 2-3 starters last game, Pro Bowlers, 2 of them, and no issues.
And I think that speaks a lot to coaching. Like guys like Hank Fraley. We talk about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's the Morning Woodward Show man crush. But Hank Fraley has a lot to do with that as well, because anytime you can miss all 3 of your interior linemen and you have backups and you still are able to run the ball effectively, I think they're averaging 7.2 yards per carry right now in the NFL. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's fun. Isn't this fun?
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. And Dan Orlovsky's point is if you could run the ball like that, and the other stat he brought up, which we're going to get into next.
Explosive plays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Explosive plays. So not only are they running the football effectively, guys like Amon-Ra, even DeAndre, explosive plays. And I think that speaks a lot to, being a playoff team.
Yeah, well, they've scored 35 points or more in their last 3 games. That have never been done for the Detroit Lions since 1952. 1952, Jeff. We're talking in the 1900s. We're talking 70 years ago.
My grandmother.
Yeah, it's something that hardly our grandparents have seen. Like, we have never seen a Lions offense this prolific, and I'm not talking about Herman Moore, Barry Sanders, Brett Perriman, all those guys. Even when we had John Kitna here putting up 4,000 yards under that Mike Martz offense. It's a great offense. Not even close. Even when we had Matthew Stafford and Megatron going nuts, and Megatron catching every ball that you throw at him. Not even close to 35 points in 3 consecutive games. Whenever we're witnessing history, I start getting excited, right? Normally the Lions show us history by, setting trends on how they lost. Or this team hasn't won a road game in 27 games. That's how we used to set history. Now it's, they're the most prolific offense in the league.
Yeah,
the Detroit Lions.
No big deal.
We can say that and not get laughed at because it's true.
It is. Through 2 weeks, so hoping they can continue that against the Vikings on the road. But speaking of history, Amon-Ra St. Brown last week tied Michael Thomas and Antonio Brown for the most consecutive games with 8 or more receptions. Stick, what's your gut telling you? Think he can break that record and go above those guys this week against Minnesota?
Yeah, and if he doesn't, it may actually still be a good thing for us, because that means Minnesota overcompensated for Amon-Ra St. Brown, leaving other guys to have their day. So, we're to a point now with him to where we have guys that you got a game plan around. Once again, when have we ever had that besides Calvin Johnson? It's like, all right, we take away Calvin Johnson, Nate Burleson may get some catches, but Nate Burleson's not going to kill us. As much as I love Nate on the air,
right,
he wasn't going to kill you if you let him have a day. Now it's like, okay, well, we got to take away Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have to. We absolutely have to. And if they do, now DeAndre Swift going to cut you up. Yeah. Now Jared Goff's going to get it to Reynolds. There's just so much more that we can do. It's tough to scheme against us, and when you can start imposing your will that's when you're a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what makes the Chiefs so great. People have to game plan for Travis Kelce, for Patrick Mahomes, used to be Tyreek Hill. But those teams are great because you got to adjust what you're doing to play them.
Oh, absolutely.
We used to have to chase our tail.
Mm-hmm. And with the Lions, too, it's crazy to think about because since Kelvin, to say you have a guy that you can – I'm not comparing the two yet. Obviously, Kelvin's a Hall of Famer. But Amon-Ra in the 4th round. I think people – like Neil brought up, are we sleeping on Amon-Ra? And I don't think so, but I think people – it's hard to process that you really do have a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL currently, right now, on your football team. And last year it was, okay, well, Amon-Ra's a rising star. No, he's here. He's here. I mean, what is he, top 4 in the NFL right now in terms of receiving yards? If he can keep that up, he's going to have a fantastic season. And you can tell it's helping Jared Goff as well. Ben Johnson knowing how to utilize Amon-Ra and getting him open, man. 8 receptions, consecutive games. I think he'll do it this week. Regardless, I think the Lions, they're going to put up a fight against the Vikings.
Yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a problem. I'm not sure if we're taking him for granted. I just think we're all Lions fans, right? I think we take everything with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, it's going good right now, but let's hold our horses. And right. I think that's just years of PTS Lions fandom in us. That's like, this is really good. What's up with this?
It's like Lomas. Lomas on Ermani and Edwards with Maz, which you can check out, woodwardsports.com. He spoke about it, and he said, don't talk to me until 4 weeks. And I actually think that's kind of fair, to be honest with you, because teams right now, like, for example, defensive yards given up, the Ravens are first. Are the Ravens that bad on defense? No. But through 2 weeks, they are. And you saw what they did against the Miami Dolphins. So I'm not going to overreact to these things. I think even the stat, which we're going to get into next segment about the Lions generating the most quarterback pressures, it's only 2 weeks. But you could take a lot from these 2 weeks. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But I do want to get into real quick about the Stephen A. Smith comments because, listen, I'm not going to blame anybody for being skeptical about the Lions nationally because we haven't been getting enough love. A lot of national analysts, Dan Orlovsky, even Colin Cowherd to a certain extent, saying the Lions this year just look different. So with Stephen A. being skeptical, I have no problem with it. I get it. I think from a local perspective, we know what we have already, and we know that this culture is a complete 180 from previous cultures, especially with Matt Patricia. So that same old Lions talk, it just doesn't hit. It doesn't hit because it's different for us. Nationally, it's like, well, look at the Lions. They haven't won since 91, a playoff game. But in reality, we know that this regime is night and day different than previous regimes. It really is.
Yeah, you feel it, right? It's a feeling. It's not something that you can tell me. It's something you have to show me, and it's something that we've seen through consistency over the past 2 years. Even last year when they were getting their head kicked in the majority of the games, you saw the fight. You saw the effort. And then at the end of the season, you start to see them, they're actually turning a little bit of a corner. They didn't quit. They're not thinking about Cancun and Tulum right now. Like, they're thinking about actually beating Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Right. Those were – this is why when me and Neil Rule go back and forth on, wins don't matter. This is why wins matter. And those crappy wins at the end of the season, those matter because – yes, it's not going to be a linear rollover into the next season, but it's building blocks. It's understanding how to win. It's understanding how to fight. And if you don't have those moments, if you never get those little moments, you'll never get to the big prize. And that's where Neil and I really disagree. And Neil Rule will be live here from Big Boy in Rochester later on today. And we can have that conversation. Make sure you're watching on woodwardsports.com.
And I think it's funny that Neil brings that up because for me personally, I would love nothing. Even last year, were they 3-3 the last 6 games? Like that stuff, I know it doesn't carry over. That's what T-Foss always says. Wins don't carry over.
It does.
It does mentally. You're right. Because the culture, like you can say you're building off this year. Well, last year we fought like hell. We had a lot of injuries. Guys are getting better. This offense, as good as it is, doesn't even have Jamison Williams yet. T.J. Hockenson isn't playing to what we think he can play at. And DJ Chark, quite frankly, had a good game 1, but he didn't play really that much and didn't play that well in week 2. So we're not getting the full, like Ben Johnson said, we're not firing on all cylinders yet. Yeah, that's a scary thing.
And I'm not concerned about T.J. Hockenson. I mean,
what are your thoughts on T.J.? Because I haven't really talked to you
about it. Here's the deal. If you were to scheme against the Lions going into the season, who's the major weapon you're taking away? T.J. Hockenson and Swift.
Yep,
those are the two you're taking away, right?
Or Amon-Ra now.
So those are the first 2 games. Now that we're out there, like I said, defenses have to start adjusting to what we're doing, who's being successful, and it's not just T.J. Hockenson anymore. So that's why, just give it time. The defense will loosen up because they got to start paying attention to Amon-Ra. They got to start paying attention to Swift. DJ Chark may actually catch a ball downfield every once in a while. So it's just Give it time, man. Not everybody can get the rock every game. We're scoring 35 points a game. Calm down. Don't be greedy. Like, what do you want? Hawkinson also to have 150 yards and 2 TDs? Okay, now we're a 50-point-a-team game? It's just not possible.
All I ask out of Hawkinson is not to be tied first in the NFL in drops, but I get what you're saying. It's something, and it's not TJ. I think he'll be fine, honestly. I'm not too worried about him. Again, I'm going to agree with Lomas here. I'm not going to take too much from things until we're about 4 weeks in the season, all right?
Lomas Brown.
I'll never forget when the Steelers were like 11-0 and everyone was still calling them frauds. So at the same time, we're not frauds, but what I am saying is you got to give them a little more time.
We're legit. That's what we are. That's what we are right now. We're legit.
That's all that matters. It really is. Next segment, I do want to get into more so that stat of leading the NFL in quarterback pressures with 48, which is crazy to think about because we talked about before the season, for this defense to have success, you got to get to the quarterback. Because that secondary, quite frankly, I like Jeff Okuda's, how he's been playing, Amon-Ra. It's still a little thin. And with this pass rush, my God,
it's not just this defense. It's the NFL. You need to get to the quarterback.
Period.
Period.
And that's why Aiden Hutchinson gave all these edge rushers, they go high in the draft. Period. But before that, I do got to tell you about our friends at SMA because, guys, the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the F Word, helps spread awareness of fentanyl and other addictions. They let you guys know it's okay to not be okay. Go to thesportsma.com if you're struggling or know someone who is.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Detroit's downtown summer playground is back. Open all summer long, the Monroe Street Midway. Enjoy roller skating, free Wi-Fi, food trucks, art installations, and so much more. Don't forget to take advantage of the basketball court, putt-putt, and, of course, family programming all summer long. All art installations are done by Detroit artists, and it's a fun, safe event from people 1 to 100. Go to deckedoutdetroit.com.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Let me tell you about our friends at the Foaling Warehouse. Guys, the Foaling Warehouse in Hamtramck is the home of the original football bowling game, 2 to play for $12, the unlimited open play, or you can pay $120 for a lane reservation for up to you and 9 other individuals. They have the $2 mystery beer machine, full bar. Check it out, foalingwarehouse.com.
All right, we are back
Look
here
at
on the
who's
Morning
there.
Woodward
Look at
Show.
it.
What's up, Jeff? Don't worry, buddy. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
All
You
right.
wanna-
Good morning, everybody.
I think
How's
you actually
everybody
went to
doing today?
Rochester, New York.
I'm doing fantastic, Fish. Thank you for asking, buddy.
You went to the big boy out in Ohio.
No, New York.
Oh, goodness me. All right, I heard you guys talk about Stephen A., him dragging the Lions a little bit under the
Yeah,
mud.
being a little
St.
skeptical.
Brown, 8 catches this weekend. Makes history.
He does. Passing
Tied
Michael
for the
Thomas.
current longest. Could make history this weekend. I made a trade in my fantasy league, by the way.
Oh, you got to talk about that. 'Cause
All right, everybody, I want your opinions. I traded Christian McCaffrey, I traded DK Metcalf, and I traded Jalen Waddle. 2 of the 3 are literally my best players. And I got Derrick Henry, Terry McLaurin, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I like it.
In the history of me being a trade commissioner in my league, we have never had such an even trade. But I definitely want everybody in the chat's opinion on this one.
I want what's best for you, so I was a little skeptical. But the more I thought about it, it is a pretty good trade. I can't even lie to you. Considering Christian McCaffrey,
look,
on the damn injury report.
I'm sorry,
With an
Christian
ankle
McCaffrey.
injury.
He wakes up, he gets out of bed, he puts on his socks. If he puts them on the wrong way, he's out for the week. I can't deal with that kind of stress. And I get Amon-Ra St. Brown, so now I have even more motivation with this football team. Having said that, let's get right into it. Through 2 weeks, the Detroit Lions have generated the most pass rushes, quarterback pressures in the NFL with 48. Jeff, you spoke about this before the break. We spoke ad nauseum about this going into the year. You want Jeff Okudah to return, be healthy, and be a good player on this football team. You want Amon-Ra to take the next step. You want Tracy Walker to be a part of the team. Chase Lucas develop as a rookie. You want all these players in the secondary, even your linebackers, Malcolm Rodriguez, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes. You want these guys to get better. Well, how do you do that? You get to the quarterback, right?
Period.
You get to the opposing team's quarterback. What is the ultimate game plan for any good quarterback? Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes?
Pressure him.
Pressure. 48 through 2 games, and it was really the Washington game where you saw legitimate quarterback pressure. To me, that is what a pass rush looks like. Aiden Hutchinson, a huge factor in all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal
Gotta
performance,
double him.
3 sacks in the first half. Injury concern a little bit going into this weekend, but regardless of the point, the Detroit Lions are building exactly not just what we discussed. Forget us for a second. What a competent football team builds.
Yeah.
They build within the trenches. They make sure they can get to opposing teams' quarterbacks. What more could you ask for? So far, 2-game sample size from this football team. I do believe as of right now, given the standard NFL window of a 3-year turnaround, 2 to 3 year turnaround, they are slightly ahead of schedule right now. Because with that kind of performance against Washington, Jeff, they're going to be a tough out against most teams on their schedule.
And I think Dan Orlovsky's point, too, because this is his point of why he thinks the Lions will make the playoffs. Number one, you lead the NFL in quarterback pressures. Number two, you average 4.6 yards before you even get touched at the line of scrimmage. So those 2 things, you look at playoff teams in general. Number one, they can run the ball effectively. Number 2, they can pressure the quarterback. And I'm not saying the Lions are going to be world beaters at that, but you don't even have Romeo Okwara yet. And Julian Okwara has been playing excellent. He played last game. He made an impact, and he had a career year last year, so expect him to keep playing. But you don't even have Romeo Okwara back. And you don't have Josh Pascal. You don't have Levi Ozarike. John Comiskey's out for the unforeseeable future. And this team is still getting to the quarterback. I think that speaks a lot to, number one, Aaron Glenn. Number 2, it speaks a lot to the defensive line in general with Aiden Hutchinson. You got to double team him. But really, Adam, this is why I'm buying more and more in, because before this team is still 8 wins, 8-win football team to me. I think they could sneak into the playoffs. But for a playoff team to be able to pressure the quarterback and to be able to run the ball effectively, situationally, you can do that. To me, that's a playoff team. I mean, the more and more I think about it, if you could do both those things, it's going to make your secondary better, which hence why Jeff Okudah has been playing better last 2 games. You're getting Amon-Ra back. If you could continue to pressure the quarterback like this, I mean, you're playing. It seems like the Lions are playing less and less mobile quarterbacks. You play Jalen Hurts week 1, you play Carson Wentz week 2, and you play a statue in Kirk Cousins week 3. So they're going to find success. It's just about really Aiden Hutchinson and how healthy is he? Because if he's at 100%, Kirk's in for a long day.
We attribute success across the board. It's a team game at the end of the day. Now, do individuals shine in moments? Yes, they do. DeAndre Swift fell on his ass. Win for 6. Phenomenal, right?
Dude,
there are moments of individual brilliance, but it's a team game. And I can't ask Jeff Okudah, I can't ask Jerry Jacobs, I can't ask Amon-Ra, Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey. I can't ask anybody across the league to legitimately guard a wide receiver for 5, 6, 7 seconds in man coverage. Even in zone, they will find the spots. It is so difficult. And the fact that you finally do have a pass rush this early on in the year, phenomenal. A+. Again, Brad Holmes, what'd he do? Year 1.
Addressed it.
First round, Penei Sewell addresses the tackle position. Second round, Levi Onwuzurike. Third round, Aleem McNeil. Doubles down on the interior line on defense. Okay, cool. I like it. Gets Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round. That has become quite the steal. Mm-hmm. You go to this year. Aiden Hutchinson, number 2 overall.
2.
Jameson Williams, wide receiver, explosive. You need one of those in the NFL. Okay? To be determined on him. He hasn't played yet, but still.
Right.
Just understand the concept of what Brad is doing here. Second round, what does he do? And again, I know he hasn't played a game yet. He doubled down on edge rushers. Why? You have to get to the opposing team's quarterback, especially when Aaron Rodgers is in your division, when you have an NFC that is fielded of Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray, even Dak Prescott, if you want to consider him. Kirk Cousins, you're playing Kirk Cousins on Sunday. You want to see the Kirk Cousins that we saw on Monday? How do you replicate that, Jeff? Not because of an individual performance like Darius Slay. Mm-hmm. No. Get to the quarterback.
Get to him. Eagles did that. And also with this Lions team, which is crazy to think about, I get the pressure because that's important. Getting to the quarterback, pressuring the quarterback. They're tied for 4th right now in the NFL in sacks. I mean, 3, and they have 6. 3 of those come from Aiden Hutchinson. And I guess it is too early to really judge how good this defense is going to be because right now they're giving up one of the among the most points in football. So obviously they're giving up points. But those small things, like you have to be able to stop the run. Which defensive line performance are we going to see? Are we going to see week 1 against the Eagles? Eagles were able to run the ball effectively. Week 2, the Commanders, they weren't able to run the ball. In week 3, Minnesota, you're facing Dalvin Cook, who's coming off back-to-back bad performances. Can you stop the run or at least be effective with it? That's the question I still have because getting to the quarterback's important, but you also got to be able to stop the run. And facing a guy like Dalvin Cook this week, looking to have a bounce-back performance from his previous 2 games, that's what I'm keying in on too, because you got to pressure Kirk, of course. But if they're able to run the ball with Dalvin Cook, that's going to cause some issues, like the Eagles had in Week 1.
Well, look, coming up 8:45, we are going to get to that defensive front.
That's going to be important.
And why it's so key to slowing down this Minnesota offense. You saw Philly do a hell of a job with it. Ben Johnson at 8:30, quote, "We are not hitting our stride, and we're not clicking on all cylinders." Quite. If 35.5 isn't clicking on all cylinders, watch out. But you know what? I actually love it because it has nothing to do with the output, has nothing to do with the points. It's execution. Execution.
X's and
That's
O's.
all it's about. Hey, guys, I don't think we did a good enough job executing X, Y, and Z. Phenomenal coaching, man. Honestly, honest to
Seems
God.
like him and Amon-Ra are just both perfectionists. Like they even if
You
they're,
need that.
You do.
You think Sean McVay is not a perfectionist?
He is.
You think Cooper Kupp is not a perfectionist?
Those guys
Andy
are.
Reid, Mike Tomlin. By the way, Thursday night we haven't talked about it, have we? Thursday night football last night. Can I tip my cap or give a dozen of roses to Kevin Stefanski and the Browns? I gotta say, well done to win that game at home. Again, 2-1 to start the year without your quarterback.
It's impressive.
Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, what they've done offensively to unlock both of them and give them both equal opportunity to be successful. Kevin Stefanski and that coaching staff is doing a hell of a job right now in Cleveland. To beat a Mike Tomlin team, yes, you're at home, but a Mike Tomlin team is no easy out. Great job. Credit to the Cleveland Browns. I'm so sorry to everybody who bet the Pat McAfee boost.
You think?
But FanDuel did credit every single person who made a bet on it. So shout out to FanDuel. They did a hell of a
did?
Yeah, they did.
After that defensive touchdown?
Yep. It was awesome. They announced it, I believe, either this morning or super late last night.
Pat McAfee effect. What do you think of what's going on in Pittsburgh? The quarterback controversy. What do you do with Mitch? What do you do with Mitch? Like
I think Mitch had good moments in that game. I believe, as Mike Tomlin, I'm not ready to push him aside
for a rookie
in that kind of weather for a rookie yet who probably doesn't believe he's ready. Or, Mike Tomlin, again, he's trying to win football games right now. You think he doesn't know about his streak of never having a losing season?
True.
He's well aware, and he wants the quarterback that's in place that gives him the best opportunity. Now, week 6, week 7, week 8,
we'll see.
Kenny Pickett's more adjusted to the playbook. He's understanding the offense more. Now we can have that conversation. But I think right now Mitchell Trubisky is the best option, even though, again, nobody would want Mitchell Trubisky as their starting quarterback. But you kind of have to live with it. The Steelers had their opportunities in that game. They blew them. And the defense with no T.J. Watt.
No.
That is a tough out. Good luck stopping Chubb and Hunt. They
were
able to do it.
George Pickett's catch? It was beautiful.
Yeah, you know what? That's overrated.
Oh my God! Are you
and
joking me?
Hear me out. It's overrated in the context that we are saying it was better than Odell Beckham's.
No,
and I don't agree with that at all.
Best. Yeah, no.
All over social media, all on the broadcast last night.
Odell scored.
Odell scored, and the ball stuck inside of his hand. There's a big difference. What George Pickens did, it was almost like a Willie Mays catch, but the ball bobbled out and came back in. He did catch a phenomenal
It was
catch.
phenomenal. Yeah,
it would be a strong number 2 in that category. But Odell's was literally with 3 fingers.
Reached back like
caught
1-3.
the football, reached back, and scored a touchdown. I'm sorry, not even close. Having said that, we have to take a quick break. When we get back, Ben Johnson says the offense is not even clicking yet. What that means for the Vikings on Sunday, what it means for the Lions moving forward, what we can point out from Ben Johnson's comments in the presser the other day. But before we go, I got to tell you about where I got my haircut. Taken for probably the last year now, and I am so happy that I've transitioned. That's at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. They're awesome stylists. Thanks, Stick. They're awesome. They're awesome. Stylists will take care of you like they take care of me. Get to a Lady Jane's near you. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. No appointment necessary. Lady Jane's. It's wicked awesome.
It's Sean Jordan from the Sports Marketing Agency, and SMA wouldn't be who we are without our amazing partners.
Thank you so much, Sean. You know, at Detroit Wayne, we want to serve as a resource for you and your families. We offer mental health services, substance use disorder services throughout our communities, and we want to be that source and resource within the community.
If you or a loved one are suffering from a mental health or substance abuse issue, please don't hesitate to call 1-800-241-4949.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
Looking to buy or sell your home, whether you're a player or a fan, helping you buy, sell, or invest is Michael Phillips' top priority. Being in the game for over 23 years makes Mike the #1 option for anybody, including me. If you have real estate needs, call Mike Phillips at 313-403-0011. That's 313-403-0011. Get your game on with Mike Phillips. I like Mike. I played baseball with Mike's kid back in my heyday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fun fact. Yeah, I love Mike. Love his kid. Awesome people. A great family.
Did he beat you?
Same team.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
Went to the
Okay,
same high
that's
school.
cool.
Yeah, I was
awesome.
I was a senior. His son, I think, was a sophomore.
That's awesome.
All right, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson. We know the Ben Johnson story. We know how much we've talked about him. We know how much we've praised him.
Call him by his full
I love
name.
how you do that. Look, reality is, with this football team, they are scoring at an absurd amount. The rate is, 4th highest in the NFL touchdown rate. 9 total touchdowns, 71 points through 2 games.
3rd in the NFL in rushing yards.
3rd in rushing
Total
yards.
rushing
4th
yards.
in total yards per game.
1st in yards per attempt rushing. Too.
Yep. 1st in yards per attempt before even getting contacted, which I believe is like 4.6.
Yes, 4.6.
And the NFL average for just rushing yards is 4.2, I believe.
Yeah.
My God.
That offensive line.
Comes out and says the offense isn't clicking.
What does it look like when it's clicking? that's
I did catch you and Stick talking at the tail end of the first segment about T.J. Hawkinson, the offense not clicking, and really not that it's not clicking, but hey, you can't distribute it to everybody.
Right.
When my takeaway from Ben Johnson and his comments was, hey, we're very aware that we're looking good right now, but we're not hitting on all cylinders. I'm not happy that my key tight end, my starting tight end, has a 50% catch rate, who has averaged 7 targets a game so far and only has 7 catches. 7 catches on 14 targets. Not ideal. I'm not happy with DJ Chark's drops. I'm not happy with Jamal Williams' performances so far. I'm not happy with certain aspects of our guards polling. I'm not happy with pass protection. There are a lot of things as a coach, you'll go get to the screen, you'll bring your team out, and you'll go through all of it.
Right.
And for me, that is just another encouraging sign of, no, this is a legitimate coaching staff. Dan Campbell, have to give him credit. The leadership move it took to get rid of Anthony Lynn, absorb the pressure of being the primary play caller, seeing the talent in Ben Johnson, saying, hey, kid, help me fix this. Deuce Staley, help me. Antoine Randall, help me. They all grouped together last year. They go into the offseason. Who's going to be our offensive coordinator? You have the Ben Johnson team over here that was pushing for him vehemently all offseason. He gets the job. Talk going into the preseason. We're not sure who's going to call plays yet. We'll see how he does against Atlanta. See how he does here. See how he does there. He's the play caller week 1. Does a damn good job. First drive of the year, touchdown. They stalled, a few 3-and-outs. They cleaned it up in the second half. Game against Washington, again, phenomenal. The way he's been able to use Amon-Ra St. Brown, the way he's been able to use these extra offensive line and tight end packages, Ben Johnson, to me, has been nothing short of special through 2 games. And I am going to just sit back and enjoy however long you have him as your offensive coordinator, because I promise you, if I'm an owner, if I'm a GM, and I'm not happy with my current situation, or I'm already looking ahead to 2023, this kid is at the top of my short list.
And I'm not trying to pull, the same old Lions thing, but the fact that Ben Johnson's doing it in Detroit, I think that's more significant, because if you would have told me before the season the Lions would have the best offense in the NFC North, I would have told you you're crazy. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they would have had one of the best. I still would have put them behind the Minnesota Vikings, but right now they are one of the best offenses in the NFL. And I think the DJ Chark and TJ Hawkinson points, I think that speaks also to just the rapport that Jared has already with Amon-Ra. I mean, DJ Chark, new signing. It's going to take some games for him. I'm not going to overreact to him so far. He had a touchdown game 1. TJ Hawkinson missed the back half of last season because of an injury. I think that rapport with him and Jared needs more time. I mean, even though he has 7 targets in both of the games, he's not coming down with a lot of these passes. I think TJ will bounce back. I'm not too concerned about TJ. But to your point, Adam, Ben Johnson with this offense, it's incredible. Like I tweeted last night, enjoy him while he's here, because I do believe it's going to be a year or 2 before Ben Johnson not only gets interviewed, but gets hired. I mean, you see the leadership ability he has, the communication ability. He talked about it at the press conference. We're not clicking on all cylinders, despite being a top 3 offense in the NFL, which is scary. They left a lot of points on the board in the last 2 games. You saw it. The drive where they're in the red zone, they go for it on 4th down, they don't get it. Imagine if they get that. That would have been 40 points. Against the Eagles, they left some points off the board for some decisions we talked about that week. So overall, the job that Ben Johnson's doing, it's, dare I say, historic in Lions franchise history.
Jeff,
really
growing up, were you familiar with Mike Shanahan as a coach?
I was, yes.
Towards the tail end, I'd
Robert
imagine,
Griffin.
right?
Yeah.
So Mike Shanahan in the Denver days, one of the best coaches in the NFL. But that run game, Terrell Davis, right? John Elway, we all know the story.
TD, yeah.
Mike Shanahan has produced a concept and the importance of, running the football is still one of the most effective ways to win football games in the NFL. It's a passing league. We all agree. But what did the Cleveland Browns do last night? They ran the football effectively. They were able to pick apart the Pittsburgh defense. And what Ben Johnson has brought, it's funny, we always talk about the sexy, young, offensive-minded coordinators. They're going to expand the offense. They're going to do a better job, What is the one thing you've noticed through 2 weeks with this football team? They are very old-fashioned. They line up. They show you they're going to run the football, and you can't stop it.
Kyle Shanahan
They line up with 6 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends. They don't care. They don't care at all. And that, to me, is an embodiment of the way they've been running their power run schemes, the way they've been really setting up a lot of the play action, the jet sweeps to Amon-Ra St. Brown, the end-arounds.
That similar personnel, then keeps you on your toes.
Keeps you on your toes. You become unpredictable. And I talked about this with you before the season started. You asked me, what does this Detroit Lions team look like going into the season? And I don't mean to sound generic, but they would be a pain-in-the-ass team to play against.
Said that. Yeah,
and I know that's not like the easiest thing to kind of comprehend. Well, Adam, what does that mean? What, they just try and they lose? No. Like, you go, put yourselves in a offensive coordinator's shoes. Actually, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. You are the defensive coordinator for an opposing team. You are playing Detroit. You're on the road or you're at home. Doesn't matter. You think about it. How are you going to stop this offense? I'll wait. Even if you have a prolific front 7, what is your absolute number 1 concern? You want to start with the run game, the offensive line, the pass protection they're going to get? Oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown developing into a top 10 wide receiver in front of our eyes? Oh, they also have DJ Chark, who's a deep threat? Josh Reynolds, who really at any moment should be open. He is one of Jared Goff's favorite targets.
Right.
You have TJ Hawkinson you have to account for. Oh, by the way, there's a running back named DeAndre Swift. If you lose sight of him in the backfield on a pass play,
good luck.
Good luck. If you don't pick up the screenplay properly, good luck. That's a home run hitter. there is so much to account for. You have to be so perfect on defense to play against the Detroit Lions, unless they are getting in their own way at the moment, given all the talent they have, all the core fundamental pieces they have to build up what's so far been a prolific offense, Jeff. Mm-hmm. It's been exceptional to watch.
And I always bring up the example I use is Kyle Shanahan. Whenever you're facing the 49ers, you know they're going to run the football. What do? Run the football. Like that to me, that's what a good offense is. Knowing what they're going to do, and they're still able to do it. The Lions so far have still been able to do it. They faced the Eagles team. You saw what Eagles looked like against the Minnesota Vikings, that defense. Again, it was week 1. But being able to run the ball effectively, the run game travels. It travels. It doesn't matter where you are. If you can run the ball, that offensive line, no matter the setting, no matter if you're at home, away, on the road, if you can run the ball, that's the key to success, not only for this offense, but specifically Jared Goff. I mean, we saw what Jared was able to do in L.A. with a run game, with Todd Gurley, with good coaching. I'm not saying, listen, don't get ahead of myself. I'm not saying this team is even comparable because defensively they aren't. But that's the key to success right now, is being able to run the football, going into Minnesota, a team that hasn't been able to stop the run at least last week. This Monday, coming off a short week, I think they're going to have that same success. And if so, here comes Amon-Ra. Here comes DJ Chark, hopefully. Here comes Josh Reynolds, these guys. So for me, that's the most impressive thing about Ben Johnson, is teams, like you said, coming in and facing the Detroit Lions, knowing what they're going to do. They're going to run the football. They're going to be in the same personnel but run different plays. You saw the Amon-Ra St. Brown sweep. They had that same set like 3 or 4 times, and they ran different plays out of it. Boom, Amon-Ra St. Brown on the end around. Keeps defenses guessing, and that's what a good offensive coordinator is. Like, that's, you brought up Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan. What did teams going in facing both those coaches know? Stop the run. Couldn't stop the run. So I think that speaks a lot to the Lions as well.
You couldn't have this conversation before the season started, because you would just get hit back with, wait till I see it. I got to see it first. See it when I believe it. Same old Lions. Like, guys, if there's one thing I'd love for all of you to take away, sometimes in life shows you exactly what's coming. Now, whether or not you want to accept that information, accept that data, accept whatever it may be, let's start with all the signs that this team was going to turn it around. Year 1 under Brad Holmes, before Dan Campbell had ever coached a game. Penei Sewell fell to number 7 overall. Nobody would have projected that. You were fortunate. 3 quarterbacks went 1, 2, and 3. Kyle Pitts goes 4. Jamar Chase goes 5. Jalen Waddle goes 6. All in the right situations because those teams needed it. Penei Sewell falls to you at 7. Any other draft class, he's a top 3 pick. Cool. There's Penei Sewell. In the 4th round, you find arguably one of the best wide receivers in that draft class. In the 4th round, 16 wide receivers were taken before him.
He remembers all of them.
All right, let's go into the more fortunate part. Awful start to the season. Anthony Lynn, a disaster as an offensive coordinator. No rhythm on the offense. Jared Goff coming off a huge breakup, not looking confident, not looking good, doesn't trust the weapons he has. No Amon-Ra St. Brown to be heard of. Nobody's sure what the hell's going on offense. And then what happens? Anthony Lynn is removed from his duties. Dan Campbell makes a huge leadership call. That opens the door for who? Ben Johnson. And then you start to hear the Ben Johnson name. And then you finish the season strong. You finish 3-3. Jared Goff with one of the higher passer ratings in the NFL towards that stretch. You go into the offseason. But the consensus number 1 overall pick wasn't the number 1 overall pick this year. It was actually Trayvon Walker, who so far looks really good, by the way. But beyond the point, nobody would have thought you could get Aiden Hutchinson.
No.
Nobody. Did anybody think before the draft you could trade up 20 spots in the 1st round for basically a 3rd-round pick?
It's crazy.
And pick swaps?
To Minnesota. They traded Minnesota.
In your division?
Yeah, in your division.
Fortunate. Jameson Williams. Here you go. Josh Pascal, 2nd round. Here you go. The identity is being built by this front office, and I got to give the coaching staff credit through 2 games. They're building it, and it's a proven concept on the field. Mm-hmm. Again, if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot against Philly, Jeff, they can win that game, and nobody's going to change my mind on it. Coaching cost you that game. Coaching won you the game against Washington. Your defense's ability to get after the quarterback won you the game in Washington. It was a very well-managed game by the coaching, and they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. And what's the one thing we talked about last year with Dan? Stop shooting yourself in the foot. Right. You don't need to be this aggressor. You don't need to be all this. You want to win and lose your way? Be my guest. But believe me, you don't have to do all this extra stuff. Washington is the perfect example. If you can't see all that going into this season and after these 2 games, to think for once in your life, it's not that it's the same old Lions, it's this version of the Detroit Lions. And whether that's a division winner, a playoff winner, an NFC contender, or just a wild card team in the next few years, who knows? But you are building like a competent franchise would. The Chargers, the Bills, the Chiefs. Look at their draft classes. Look at their off seasons. You will soon have the funds available to go out and bring in veteran pieces to take you to that next level. You haven't even done that yet.
No, they have not.
A lot of positives in the future for this football team. We'll take a quick pause. When we get back, Jeff, the defensive front is key to slowing down Minnesota's offense. They have to contain Dalvin Cook, but we'll get to that in just a bit. Before we do, our good friends over at Cintron.
Guys, Cintron is the official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings. Cintron has combined all 3 of their delicious flavors into a limited edition 6-pack sampler box, which you can see if you're watching on woodwardsports.com. They have cranberry, original, sugar-free. Try them all in their great-tasting sampler box. You can get it at cintronworld.com/Red Wings. Get energized with Cintron.
New to the game or a season better? OddsTrader.com has everything you need to make the right bet ahead of kickoff. Begin your handicapping journey with OddsTrader. Improve your edge by finding the best price on every game from sportsbooks in your backyard. Take advantage of the numerous sign-up bonus offers to pad your bankroll. Dive into key game statistics, player performance, and even account for the projected game day weather. Best of all, you can use the OddsTrader bet tracker to keep a log of your action. Welcome to OddsTrader, and best of luck.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
And a miraculous catch! Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
All right, let me tell you about Bedrock Detroit. They bring you the Monroe Street Midway open to the 25th. You only have a few days left. Make sure you go out and enjoy it. Art festivities, live music, food trucks, roller skating, basketball, and much, much more. Get down because the summer is better at the Monroe Street Midway. All right. What's up, Jeff?
What's going on, baby?
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good.
All right. Here's what I got for you.
What do you got?
The defensive front. This front seven. Going up against Minnesota. We talk about Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, their ability to throw the football. I believe the key is the front seven. I know we discussed this before the show. This front seven has to slow down Dalvin Cook. You want to find success against Minnesota? You have to do what Philly did. Could you tell me who led the Minnesota Vikings in rushing against Philly on Monday?
It was Kirk Cousins. 2 for 20. 2 attempts for 20 yards.
You stop Dalvin Cook. You force Kirk Cousins to do what you know he can't do, which is beat you on a consistent basis.
Threw 46 times in that game.
If you make him throw 46 times, Detroit, I'm feeling really good about your chances heading into Minnesota and beating that football team. But the Lions are going to have to be prepared because Kevin O'Connell and that offense and that coaching staff, they understand the importance of Dalvin Cook. This front seven, Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris, Alex Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez, they have to. Tracy Walker's going to play a big role in this game. They have to understand how important it is to slow down Dalvin Cook, Jeff.
And I'm looking at these stats just against the Vikings versus the Eagles, and one thing that stands out to me, 3 sacks, you talked about it, the rushing yards, holding Dalvin Cook to 6 attempts for 17 yards, and of course forcing 3 turnovers. But that all kind of relates back to the same thing. If you could pressure Kirk Cousins, that's your key to victory right there. Not only we talk about it, if you can have Jeff Okudah, Amani Oruwariye will be back. The fact that if you expect these guys to guard, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith Jr. for 5, 6, 7 seconds, you're in for a long day. But if you could pressure Kirk Cousins like the Eagles were able to do, that's the key to victory. And we talk about this defensive line and how well they've played so far against Jalen Hurts, who's out of all three teams the most mobile quarterback. Carson Wentz, who would probably be second. And now you're playing Kirk Cousins, who is the least mobile quarterback through the first 3 weeks. So the success they had against Carson Wentz last week can be replicated. And dare I say, I think that offensive line is quite similar to this Vikings offensive line. It's nothing special. I think they're solid, but you can get through. And I'm curious to see how the loss of John Kaminsky affects them because he played well. I think he had a sack last game. But overall, Adam, that's the key to success, not just for this game. I think every week going forward, it's going to be a repetitive statement we repeat. Get to the quarterback. Slow down the run, because, again, it was a tale of two tapes. Week 1, you weren't able to stop the run against Philly. Week 2, you were against the Commanders. And look at the difference in the ball game. Shutting out the Commanders in the first half. The second half, they gave up 27. But overall, they still did good against the run. That's the key to victory. It's the defensive line against the Vikings, and I'm curious to see how they respond.
Well, if I'm honest with you, I do see Detroit struggling stopping the run against Minnesota.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook is in.
Dalvin Cook. Madison is no slouch. They give him carries. They give him touches for good reason. He's almost at 5 yards a pop for his career for a reason. He's a suitable backup. He really complements Dalvin Cook. Detroit, as much as I want to say, oh, well, you have to stop Dalvin Cook. Well, no, obviously.
Yeah.
But the reality is you have to limit the explosive plays Minnesota has. Make them play your game, right? If you're Detroit, you want to control time of possession. You don't want to turn the ball over. Kirk Cousins, prone to turning the ball over. Jared Goff, so far, outside of that pick 6, which was just miscommunication between him and his receiver, ended up being Hawkinson.
Right.
He's been very clean, very protective of the football. You win the turnover battle. You win time of possession. You make Minnesota play that game. It's going to be a very close game. A very close game, and who you'd give the edge to, I'd have to say Minnesota for the fact that they do have Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
They do have somebody that can take the top off of defense, that can go for a big play. He almost had 140 yards, I believe, last season in the first half against the secondary. But what's changed? You now have a pass rush. You have a pass rush that leads the NFL in quarterback pressures through 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. This team has evolved over the last 12 months. And my confidence in this, not only coaching staff, but this roster is... It is young talent, but that's how you win in the NFL. You win with a lot of young talent, and then you have
coaching.
some complementary veteran pieces along with coaching. For example, I hate to use this because it hurts me internally, but the reality is, you look at the Detroit Lions and how they lost Week 1. Did the Philadelphia Eagles outplay the Detroit Lions over 4 quarters, or did they just absolutely maul them in the second quarter? And then it was fair game in the third, and the Lions played better in the fourth.
That's fair.
And
Two out of the 4 quarters, they
I would
won.
say it was an even first quarter. If anything, you would give it to Detroit, to be honest with you.
Philly didn't score in the first quarter.
You would give the first quarter to Detroit. They got demolished in the second quarter.
Yep.
The third quarter was even, outside of that damn onside kick. And then 14-0. It was 14-0 in the fourth quarter against Philly. Detroit has played good football, and I could argue they have won 7 out of the 8 quarters, maybe 6 at the fewest.
And they scored a touchdown. And
they've won 6 out of the 8 quarters so far. They're 1-1. Why? That second quarter in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The team is showing a lot of progress. I think they can go toe-to-toe with Minnesota, even on the road. Before the season, we talked about this being a loss. I still have Minnesota winning this football game. But this front seven, man, you stop Dalvin Cook. You do what Philly did to Dalvin. Jeff, I find it very hard to imagine a Monday walking into the studio where the Lions don't win this football game stopping Dalvin Cook. He is the X factor.
And we talked also, it's crazy to think about, too, because the Lions this week, it'll be such a big test for them. And listen, you get the first 2 games at home. That's why we argued against the Commanders. Listen, it's not a must-win for playoff purposes, but it's a must-win for other reasons as well. You're 1-1. You're going on the road to Minnesota, to U.S. Bank Stadium. This is a game that I think if they go out and they beat the Minnesota Vikings, it does partially change my expectations. Not the win total, because they could still drop a game elsewhere on the schedule, but where they compete in the NFC North. If you beat the Minnesota Vikings, that would put all the pressure on Minnesota. When they come to Ford Field, they got to beat you. Because, again, it would put the Lions first in the NFC North this early in the season. I get it's only 3 weeks. But you told me this before the season. the score wouldn't have been as close as I'm going to predict probably today when we get to it. I'll tell you that. I think Minnesota has a slight still advantage because even on a short week, guys are going to bounce back. But defensively for the Lions, that's the biggest question. Is the first 2 games right now in the NFL, you're giving up the most points in football. But if you can go into Minnesota and you can play a ball game somewhere between 40-something points total scored points, that's impressive to me. If you're not giving up because of 27 in the second half of last game, you give up 38 in the first game. We'll see how this defense responds. But to your point, Adam, they got the best shot I've thought they've had since before the season when we previewed this game. So I feel good about the Lions. I'm curious to see how this offense translates, how it travels to Minnesota. That's probably my biggest thing to look for. Defensively, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I have sky-high expectations. I think they'll be solid. I mean,
giving up 33 points a game, the defense needs to clean it up. But
they got to. But I think a lot's going to be on the offense. Like we've been saying before the season, to win these games, a lot of pressure's on your offense. They got to keep up this production. I'm not saying you got to score near 40, but you got to score at least, in my opinion, 30 to beat the Minnesota Vikings. Unless you can pressure and ruin the day for Kirk Cousins, I feel like Minnesota's in for a game where they're going to score north of 30 points. So we'll see what the Lions can do.
Fair enough. What I will say, and what I'd like to transition back to, if you don't mind, Stephen A's comments on the Lions, right? I need to see it. Prove it. Prove me wrong. I need to see it before I believe it. That is such, unfortunately, a common accepted answer in our society. No, it is fair, right? I can easily say, hey, you know what? Look, with this team, good start to the year. Offense looks good, but until they prove it to me, I'm not going to put any salt or any value in what I'm seeing. Okay, cool, fine, whatever. Too easy of an answer. But the reality is, if I just compared the Lions as a whole, all right, let's talk about 4 fundamental things that they have, features they have. And you tell me, do they share these features with some of the teams that I'm about to name? So if I told you that you had the Los Angeles Rams, even though it's been a bad start to the year for them, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings. You have the Tampa Bay Bucks. You have the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Some of these teams, really good teams in the NFC. What do all those 5 teams have in common? They get after the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Playmakers on offense. They all are very, very good on their front 7. And you believe in their coaching. Pivot that to the Lions. Do you believe in the coaching? So far, I would say it's promising. Do you want to pull back and be conservative and say, too early? Fine. I can accept that answer.
So far through 2 weeks.
So far, promising.
Promising.
Okay, let's go to the playmakers. Do they have playmakers? Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, they do.
DeAndre Swift.
They do.
Aiden Hutchinson. They have playmakers. Do they have a dominant front 7? I would say no. But through 2 games, they are leading the league in quarterback pressures, right? So a give and take here, but stopping the run has been a problem. So I'm going to scratch them off of that category.
Right.
And then the 4th, again, they have 3 of the 4 categories almost checked off, if not checked off completely, Jeff. They are not a contender. They are not a 12, 13-win football team. They are not there yet. You know what a 12-win football team, 13-win football team looks like? The Buffalo Bills. Dominant on offense, dominant on defense. That's what that team looks like. This football team, I told you going into the year, we had this conversation. Are Lions fans crazy for thinking 10-7, 9-8, 8-9? No. The schedule that you had going into the year was pretty favorable, right? 4th easiest, I believe, in the NFL.
Yeah, compared to last year's schedule.
Yes, but still. But regardless of the point, right?
On paper.
9 home games instead of 8. Mm-hmm. So you had more home games than away games. Okay, cool. Very favorable home games against some of the more difficult teams, like a Miami, like a Buffalo. Oh, whoa. Okay, let me pull back here. There is opportunity on the schedule. There is now, moving forward, Jeff, call me crazy, on the road to Minnesota, home to Seattle, on the road to Foxborough. Do not tell me that the Lions won't be favorites next week against Seattle, along with, I think, a very, very slight underdog against New England. And I think they also win that game.
I think there's a chance they
could. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm putting a lot of stock into this football team, not just in Minnesota, the next 2 games. And even if they lose to Minnesota, I think 3-2 into the bye is not just what's the word I'm looking for here? 3-2 into the bye week is not just like a thought or, this could happen, so I'm going to think it into reality or whatever it may be. No. I think they should win those football games, given what I've seen so far. You think I trust Matt Patricia more than Ben Johnson? No. God, no. Geno Smith in Seattle, look, they'll be formidable. I'm sure they'll give the Lions fits a little bit. The Lions should win that game. You beat Minnesota. You have
a chance to be 3-1.
You have a chance to be 4-1 going into the bye week. Call me crazy. I think they're not. I don't think they're going to beat Minnesota. But I'm just telling you, Jeff, it is there in front of you. Even if they lose, the season is there in front of you. So, no, I don't think Dan Orlovsky's crazy. This is a team that can make a push for the playoffs. Given the way they are performing right now, the 2-game sample size you have right now, it looks like a playoff team. The only concern you have would be, hey, this defense gives up way too many points a game. Hey, this defense doesn't stop the run effectively. Okay, let's see how they develop. If they continue all season long, Jeff, giving up 32, 33 points a game, all right, fine. I'll pull the reins back. I'll say this is not a playoff team. And even if they are a playoff team, they're not a contender in the playoffs. They're not a team I'm going to take seriously because of that defense. But that is much further along than a 3-win football team they were last year. Fair?
Fair.
Sorry, long-winded on that one.
No, I mean, listen, I'm just reading this headline right now about Stephen A. Smith not trusting Jared Goff to take the team to the playoffs. Just shows a lot.
Yeah, right, you know what? Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, the focal point of our top-of-the-hour segment right now. We're going to get into both of them. But before we do, Jeff, the best defense on and off the field.
Guys, we're talking about this Lions defense. This week, they got to be stout. They got to hold up. Guardian Alarm always holds up, though. They can always hold up. And you talk about summertime. It's now over. Winter is approaching. And what better time? You're still spending some time outside. Let Guardian Alarm give you some peace of mind while you are out enjoying the fall. Give Guardian Alarm a call at 1-800-STAY-OUT. That is 1-800-STAY-OUT, knowing you have 24/7 protection. Let them know your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
Diamonds, it's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about Swiss Insurance. There's nothing better on game day than a rocking tailgate. With all the fun comes responsibility too. Host liquor liability is an important coverage when hosting a high school, college, or pro tailgate. Let Mark at Swiss Insurance make sure you are protected so you can enjoy the big game.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you for joining us. This morning we are live at Big Boy Out in Rochester Hills on Rochester Road. Jeff, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff. We talked about confidence. Who are you more confident going into the game? The Lions, I believe, are 5.5-point dogs. The latest line I've seen. Quarterback play is going to be at the center of attention. We talk about both teams' ability to run the football, the dynamic backs. They have Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift. That will be the feature, but I do believe quarterback play, which quarterback protects the football more, Jeff, will determine whether or not their team wins the football game.
Easily. And I want to speak on Stephen A's comments real quick about Jared Goff. I think the easy answer to any question when you hear Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins is, man, those guys can't take it to the playoffs. That's the laziest answer I've ever seen in my life, or heard in my life, rather. For me, Jared Goff, 6 touchdown passes, 1 interception on the season through 2 games. to say Jared can't take a team to the playoffs, even though he's done that, even when the Rams wanted him out of town, is despicable to me. I mean, it really does make no sense. And what you said is probably the most important point about this game. Who takes care of the football? Kirk Cousins on the season currently, 3 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. That's the key to the game. I mean, Jared Goff, if you put talent around him, same with Kirk Cousins, these guys can take you to the playoffs. Are they Josh Allen? Are they Patrick Mahomes? No, they're not. But you could still win with these guys. I mean, Ryan Tannehill winning the AFC. You have even last year to a certain extent. Right now, the Giants are 2-0 with Daniel Jones. Like, you don't need guys like Patrick, Josh Allen to take you to the postseason.
You'd like them.
You'd like them, of course. We'd all love these guys. Don't get
We'd
me
all
wrong.
like the Ferrari or the Lamborghini. But if I'm driving from Woodward to, I don't know, give me a street name, any street, to Square Lake Road.
I'll take a Honda.
I can get to the same road with a Honda, with a Toyota, or a Ferrari. Now, can I get there faster with a Ferrari? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean with the right navigation system, with the right tires, I can get there. I mean,
but even listen, teams make this
not
mistake
bad,
too. Ask the 49ers, all right, the shinier toy in Trey Lance. When Jimmy G got back in that game, whew, breath of fresh air for Kyle Shanahan. Guys like Jared Goff, it's about not turning the ball over, and also it's about being able to run the football. That's every quarterback. That's not just Jared Goff. That's not just Kirk Cousins. Every quarterback looks better if you can run the ball effectively. So those comments, listen, I'm not going to say the Lions are 100% a playoff team, but Jared Goff, given a better defense, if this defense can perform better than what we've been seeing so far, because last year we saw it at points last year. I mean, as bad as this defense was, even without Aiden Hutchinson and no Jeff Okudah, they were still holding teams to 20, 17 points, 23 points. If they can keep that up and get back to that level, no doubt Jared Goff can take this team to the playoffs. I think that's the most, like, if you give that take, Adam,
there's nobody
it's the most
more critical.
Generic take I can hear.
I
mean,
don't
really.
believe there was anybody more critical through the first 6, 7, 8 weeks of Jared Goff than me. But you would be blind, or you just don't pay attention to football at all if you can't acknowledge what he did in Los Angeles under Sean McVay, what he did under Anthony Lynn to start the year, which was garbage, to what he looked like down the stretch with Dan Campbell calling the plays and Ben Johnson being involved, where he had a top 3 passer rating in the NFL. If you can't acknowledge that, I'm not sure what to tell you. I really don't know what to say. And it's not about the wins down the stretch last year. It was the performances.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the connection and the rapport he built with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with Josh Reynolds. We saw Goff start to click. You had DJ Chark. Swift is healthy now. You have Hawkinson, a dominant offensive line. There was no reason. Oh, by the way, you drafted arguably the best receiver coming out of the draft prior to his ACL injury, and Jameson Williams, who hasn't even seen the field yet. To sit here and say Jared Goff wasn't going to have one of his better seasons, I think is irresponsible. He has all the tools to do it, and so far through 2 games.
Has he exceeded your expectations?
Too early. Through
2 games, has he?
I would say yes, because, I mean, a 4-touchdown performance,
right.
that's kind of, I think that's an anomaly in terms of data points. I think 0 touchdown passes, 4 touchdown passes, kind of on the extremes. I think he's going to average 1.5 to 1.7, 1.8 touchdowns a game.
I'm with you.
He'll be just shy of 30, 31 touchdowns. Having said that, kind of to wrap up my point, Jared Goff is more than capable. Ryan Tannehill won you a division last year, got you the number 1 seed last year. Let's look at the starting quarterbacks of all the playoff teams. Let's start in the AFC. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Those guys are all division winners, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
Ryan Tannehill.
That's the top tier.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
You had Ryan
Aaron
Tannehill.
Rodgers. Matthew Stafford. Tom Brady. 2 of the 8. They're, quote, average quarterbacks.
But what did both those quarterbacks have, though?
Phenomenal coaching and a very good roster.
Bingo. And a run game.
And you can win. You can win with it. And I don't need Jared to be Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
I don't want him to be. I would love it, but he's not. It's just not who he is. So how about you play to your strengths? And he is so far. And he looks damn good, Jeff. He looks damn good.
No, it's playing with confidence, which I think Jared Goff lacked since his last 2, really the Super Bowl year in L.A. Post the Super Bowl, it was a downhill for Jared Goff. He was throwing 15, 16 interceptions a season. Boom, with Detroit Lions, 1 interception for 2 games. He's playing well, and I give credit where it's due. I think Jared Goff's a quarterback that, looking around the league, like, Jared Goff, you're thankful Jared Goff's here because you don't have a plan B right now. And you don't know when that plan B is coming. You don't know if you're going to draft a quarterback this year, next year. You have no idea. But for the meantime, having a guy like Jared Goff, building this roster around him, having a guy like Brad Holmes who's familiar with that process of building a roster around Jared Goff, which got them to a Super Bowl. Not saying the Lions are going to go to the Super Bowl anytime soon. But what I am saying is if you build a roster around Jared Goff, he can get you to the playoffs. Remember, and I get Cam Akers was the star in the game, but he came in late in that Rams game. I can't remember who they faced. It might have been the Cardinals when he had a broken thumb in the postseason. Was it the Packers?
Oh, no. I apologize.
No. It was the game where Jared walked in.
Jared walked in midway. I think it was in the second quarter.
And listen, he didn't throw for 400 yards or anything like that.
He threw for 100-something yards.
He won a playoff game.
He didn't technically, but yeah, I get your point.
He was the quarterback of it. How about this?
Yeah.
He was the quarterback of a team that won a playoff game.
Yes, and the defense that stifled. Okay,
exactly.
Yes, but okay.
But
that's fair.
My point being,
I would use the other examples where he
no.
actually played good, but I get your point.
But my point being is, you don't need Jared Goff to be your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allen. All you need to do is be a game manager, if you will. That's all you need. Now, defensively, the Lions are missing a lot of pieces, but don't tell me Jared Goff can't take this team to the playoffs. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That is irresponsible. How can we say that? That is like saying, hey, my brand new 2022 car can't take me 2 miles down the road to go to the shop to get an oil change. Nothing wrong with it. What is wrong with Jared Goff? He has made the playoffs multiple times. He's won multiple playoff games. You surround him with good coaching, innovative offense, a good run game, and a good defense. Oh, well, that's called a good contending football team. Last I checked, most of those teams are in the playoffs. Yes, he can get there.
Right.
Come on. We got to kind of kill this narrative. You got him for a reason for 2 first-round picks, right? You accepted 2 first-round picks for a reason. He does have his faults, but those faults, like any other quarterback, can be made up by good coaching, a good roster. That's it.
And what's the analogy we always use? There's 2 types of quarterbacks in the NFL. Ones you can win because of, ones you can win with. Jared Goff is a quarterback you can win with, no question about it. Is he a quarterback that's going to put you on his back and win games? I don't know that yet. But guys like Kirk Cousins, he threw for the last 2 seasons, 30-plus touchdowns. Jared Goff, with similar situation, similar coaching, with the weapons around him, can do just that. I really do believe that. Last year, with the disaster we had as a football team, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he missed, 3 games? I mean, he easily could have a 20-plus touchdown season with the weapons they had, and Amon-Ra not arriving till the second half of the season. So just wanted to make that point, man. I mean, Jared Goff's good enough, and that's all that matters. Good enough right now. And Brad Holmes is going to continue to build a roster around him, especially defensively. They need more help defensively.
And look, I mean, he's still getting in sync with this offense. We saw it through camp. We saw it through joint practices. He is showing much more confidence. Has he made a few overthrows, right, on some deep balls? Absolutely. Could have been touchdowns against Washington. He'll get better, man. He'll get better. The best of Jared Goff is still yet to come. Why? Because this offense still isn't 100% there. Wait till Jameson Williams comes back, and hopefully he's healthy. Good luck stopping this offense, which already is kind of difficult to stop already. Lions have a lot of good things working for them. Jeff, I do have to say, Kirk Cousins. Talked about Goff a lot. Let's get to Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
You're Minnesota now. What does Kirk Cousins need to do on Sunday to win this football game for his team?
He's got to be more decisive. That was the thing I failed to see last week against the Eagles. I mean, a lot of forced passes to Justin Jefferson. And again, you're looking at, from Minnesota's perspective, Kevin O'Connell, from the Sean McVay tree, run the football, establish play action, get Kirk Cousins in favorable positions, as opposed to what they did against Philly. They got down early, they couldn't run the ball, they completely abandoned the run, and I think that's really a mistake of a rookie head coach at the same time. I love Kevin O'Connell, but he called a bad game. He made bad decisions. They can rebound at home against the Lions, but for Kirk Cousins, it's winning the turnover battle, keeping, you can't throw 3 interceptions. I mean, that's not happening. If the Lions defense forced 3 turnovers, Lions are winning this game. Kirk Cousins has to play a clean game. If they can get the run game established, I think that's going to benefit him. But again, he doesn't have to force it to Justin Jefferson all the time. You have Adam Thielen, you have Irv Smith Jr. We'll see what they can do. But number one, Adam, he's got to win that turnover battle.
It is things that are said like this that really confuse me. I hope you're ready for disappointment. Grim Holmes was part of drafting Goff. No, he is here to stay. No one is paying $40 million. No, who says Goff is going to command $40 million in the open market, number one? Two, who says the Lions will even extend him for $40 million? Like, we just assume because Brad Holmes was part of the front office that drafted him. Guys, what game do you think we're playing here? Goff is here. He's under contract for 3 more years, including this year.
Right.
He's not going anywhere, and you're not offering him a contract anytime soon. I don't care what he does. Not because he doesn't deserve it. You don't have to. You are not obligated to. And you can kill him, or cut him after the season, and all you have to kill is $5 million in dead cap space. That is it. The Lions own the what's the word I'm looking for?
The ball's
here?
in their park right now.
Yes,
it really is.
They own that side of the table. That is theirs. They own all the legitimate advantages in this conversation. There is no negotiating room for Jared Goff.
Right.
He has his contract. He's a $30 million quarterback for 3 more years. That's his contract. You want to cut him early? Great. You want to keep him the full way? Great. Either way is irrelevant. They are not re-signing him at a $40 million price tag. They just aren't. It would be financially irresponsible. Go look around the league. You think Brad Holmes doesn't notice how much Kirk Cousins is getting paid? Doesn't notice how much Dak Prescott is getting paid? Tannehill, all these guys, and they are not winning because of these quarterbacks? I'll pay $40 million for Lamar. I'll pay $40 million for Joe Burrow, for Justin Herbert, for Mahomes. You don't pay $40 million for a guy like Dak, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, Jimmy G. You don't, because you don't win because of them. You can win with them, but you don't win because of them. There's a big difference. When we get back, Jeff, Michigan and Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota. We got to preview the games, give our predictions. 9:30, we'll break down the full game between Detroit, our keys to victory, and our game predictions. We got the best bets at 9:41, fantasy football as well. All that and much more. But before we do, Jeff, where are we?
We're at Big Boy on Rochester Road, and guys, you could smell it. You can smell the food. And for a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not just the Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. The chili cheeseburger is such a tease. Guess what else is new? The bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? They have the chili cheese fries, the baked potato fries, or the nacho fries. Satisfy those taste buds here at Big Boy.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play. And before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Join the Pepper Club at Chili Pepper Standing. Guys, you can get all the best deals. I'm talking about all the best deals. And they'll beat all competitors by $5. Chili Peppers has the hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, and the darkest tans. 26 locations and more on the way.
Chili Pepper Stand.
God bless Fish. All right, we're back here on the Morning Woodward Show. Whew. Here's what we got. Michigan, Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota. Jeff, I want to start with you here. Michigan, Maryland, J.J. McCarthy's first Big Ten start. Expectations going into this game, what are they? 17.5-point favorites? I could be wrong.
It's minus 17 for Michigan at the moment currently, which I think they'll cover that, to be honest with you. My expectations for J.J. McCarthy against Maryland is not much from what we've already seen. To continue to really be what they ask of him, and that's not always being dynamic JJ. You saw last game against a non-conference team, he didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he still looked damn good. That's what I'm expecting out of JJ. Go in. You have Maryland at home. It's the first Big Ten game. Maryland's 3-0. They're going to beat Maryland. I get it. Offensively, Maryland has that firepower. Tola Tagovailoa, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the season so far, but still, it doesn't. They haven't faced an opponent like Michigan on both sides of the ball. So I'm curious to see. Right now, Maryland's given up almost they're giving up average 273 passing yards per game. 273. And they're facing J.J. McCarthy. I'm telling you, they're going to have their way at home against Maryland, and J.J.'s going to have a solid performance. I mean, what else do you expect? I don't think the Big Ten competition really ramps up until they face Penn State. That's probably when you're going to have your eyes really on J.J. McCarthy against an opponent that will be probably top 10 at the time. But as of Maryland, they're going to beat Maryland. They're going to be able to run the ball. J.J., as long as he takes care of the football, which he's done so far, I have no questions about what this offense is going to look like. Maryland, in the last, 2 games, they've given up 27 to SMU. They've given up 21 to CLT. They're going to give up 40 to Michigan. There's no doubt about it. Michigan's defense, they have not faced a defense like Michigan, and they haven't faced an offense like Michigan. So for this game, Adam, it's going to be a win. I think they'll cover the minus 17. And as long as J.J. looks solid, he doesn't have to have 4 touchdown passes. You can have 1 touchdown pass. Win the game. And you saw how efficient J.J.'s looked so far. I think he'll keep that up, and Michigan's going to roll on to a victory.
I think you get more touchdowns in this game from J.J. McCarthy, but he did have nothing last week against UConn.
Yeah,
that was all Blake Corum and the team. That was a phenomenal performance again for Michigan, but again it was UConn. But Michigan State, a must-win game in my opinion. Jeff, your thoughts? Michigan State, Minnesota, they have to win this game, or
Absolutely.
We're looking at a 5-loss team possibly this year.
No, they do. And I think Minnesota, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I have to double check, I think Minnesota's missing their best wide receiver. So that's going to help. Yes, they are. So for Michigan State, that secondary, you're going to have concerns. No doubt about it. You saw what they looked like against Washington. Minnesota 3-0 right now. And again, they don't have Michael Penix, but still, they've been able to score at least 40 in their last 3 games. They scored 38 technically week 1. That's going to be interesting to me is how the secondary responds to last week. Mel Tucker, before the season, put his name, stamped it on the secondary. They weren't able to run the ball. And right now, Minnesota is giving up 60 yards per game on the ground. So they're pretty good against the run. I'm curious to see what they look like against Michigan State because they have to run the ball. That's the key to success. As good as Peyton Thorne looked last game, if you can run the ball and that secondary can hold up, like Owen came on the show and said yesterday, they need to blitz more. They have to get after the quarterback. That's what we talk about. We compare it to what the Lions have to do. For what this secondary is with the Lions, it's not the best, but they're good enough. If you can pressure the quarterback, they're going to look even better. Same with Michigan State. If you can get after the quarterback, it's going to help them a lot. Right now, they're +3 at home. I like Michigan State's odds, like Owen said, and he might have jinxed it. Mel Tucker hasn't lost yet in front of the fans, but the key to win the game, Adam, I'll tell you 2 things. 1, got to be able to run the football, and 2, if you can pressure the quarterback, it's going to help that secondary. They got to hold up this week against Minnesota without their best wide receiver.
It should be interesting.
You're the State guy. You got to give me your thoughts on it.
All right, if I'm honest with all of you, I'm not happy with what I saw against Washington, but they were underdogs for a reason. That secondary has not gotten any better. I thought Peyton Thorne played a hell of a game. I thought they should have turned to him much more earlier. Keon Coleman had a hell of a game. Barker, it looked good. Their commitment to the run was really a fault of their own in the first half. The inability to really execute proper handoffs. There's a lot of factors why they lost that game. They should have lost the game. Penix did what he did to Michigan during the COVID year. We're not surprised. He's a hell of a college football player. So at this point, I don't want to put must-win on Mel Tucker, but this is a must-win. I'm sorry. You can't have this team go 7-5, 8-4 this year, coming off an 11-win season. I think 9-3, you can still carry that momentum. Michigan State is not a national title contender right now like a Michigan is. They are not at the level of Ohio State or Michigan. They're working towards it, but they're not at that level yet. And again, Mel Tucker has had 2 recruiting classes. Do you even want to count the COVID year? His first full season, 11 wins. Michigan State, I believe, is 2 years away, maybe even less than 2 years, from us sitting up here and having a legitimate conversation about them competing and winning the Big Ten. They weren't contenders for the Big Ten going into the season. Not because I don't want them to, but the reality is I don't think they're as good as Michigan or Ohio State. Sorry. And it looks like Penn State might have a better football team than Michigan State this year. So there's still a lot to develop. There's still a lot more to see.
One thing I want to be paying attention to is we talk about that big conversation around guys like Mel Tucker or even Brady Hoke in the past is getting your coordinators right. Jim Harbaugh, I think, to an extent, has gotten so far his coordinators right. But with Mel Tucker, Scott Hazelton, Adam, so far through 3 games, defensively, Michigan State, especially that secondary, Scott Hazelton, the guy out of Northwestern, came from Northwestern. This is a big game for him in that defense. Last week, didn't dial up a ton of blitz. They got to get after the quarterback. And right now, Muhammad Ibrahim for Minnesota, the running back, he averaged 154 yards per game, scored 7 touchdowns. The Spartans have allowed 90 rushing yards per game and 2 rushing touchdowns. So on the ground is where this game is going to be run. I'm curious to see what team takes advantage of what team at home for Michigan State. It's going to be a big one, Adam, but you got to pressure the quarterback. You got to slow down the run, but we'll see.
One of the key factors also in that state game is I am very confident in Mel Tucker getting his team up and ready to play this week against Michigan. 3:30 kickoff. It's a must-win. It absolutely is a must-win. Michigan taking care of business, I think, at Maryland. I have no doubts about that game. I think they'll handle business relatively easily. J.J. McCarthy, the reality is I don't think the Heisman is a thing for him this year. It's just impossible unless he goes on a run that we've never seen before. Having said that, if you ever want to talk about a guy that is going to be on the short list for the Heisman, he has all the intangibles, does he not? I don't think that's crazy to say, but it starts on Saturday against Maryland. And you go out a 2, 3, 4 touchdown performance, you dominate Maryland, you showcase your arm, you continue to do everything you're doing, and you don't turn the ball over like you haven't this season, which was apparently you're not going into the year, by the way. So, shout out to all the Cade McNamara people. J.J. McCarthy so far has been solid, fluid, consistent. Hasn't hurt the football team. Yes, easy competition. But Maryland this weekend, I am very excited to watch this football game. Watch out for JJ to have his best game yet in a Michigan Wolverines
correction,
jersey.
Scott Hazelton is from Kansas State, not Northwestern. That was my bad. Misspoke there. But still, I think Mel
he's
Tucker,
garbage either way. He's from Northwestern. He's from Kansas State.
That's the point
he's from Hawaii. He's from my mother's house. He sucks.
Scott Hazelton right now is in question, I know, among State fans. So we'll see what kind of game plan he has coming in this week against Minnesota at home. But it's going to be interesting, Adam. It really is. I think this run game is going to bounce back, but I'm curious to see what Peyton Thorne we get.
I'm not doubting Peyton Thorne for 1 minute. The guy has shown me enough. We all forget the 4th and 17 he completed at home against Michigan.
Yeah.
That set up the touchdown. That ended up being a big reason why they came back and won that football game. Kept their whole season alive.
They got to run the ball and help them out. They got
to run the ball a little better, but trust Peyton Thorne to make plays for this football team.
Can that secondary hold up? We'll see.
Let's answer some questions real quick in the chat before we take a break. Let's see. Our boy Broder says, would you trade Rashad Bateman for Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I'd do it in a heartback.
Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man, he's underrated this year.
I still think Andrews is the number one. That's not a doubt. But Rashad Bateman, let's be honest, he has looked good.
He's been balling.
I'm going up, unfortunately, against Bateman this week, so that's unfortunate for me. I do have Lamar as my quarterback. Let's see. We're all from your mother's house, Beydoun. Yeah.
You know what? I have Amari Cooper. I didn't start him week 1. Played like trash. Or I did start him week 1. Played
Did you
like
not
trash.
start him this week?
Didn't start him last 2 weeks. He's been playing really well. So am I wrong for this? I didn't trust Amari Cooper yet.
Over who?
Joey Myers. Who's giving me like average 14, 15 points. He's been consistent. I'll take consistency over
I don't
that
hate it
boomer
because
bust. You know
Myers is going up against the Baltimore secondary. By the way, shout out to Kyle Hamilton. Should have been the number 2 overall pick, clearly. Should have went number 1 overall. I mean, God bless him. Phenomenal specimen, by the way. Shout out to the Kyle Hamilton people. Myers is going up against the Baltimore secondary. They got burnt.
I watched that game, rewatched it, and I saw Kyle Hamilton. I didn't know how many plays he was actually in where he got burnt.
I didn't see him.
One from Jalen Waddle, one from Tyreek Hill. He was on his buttocks, and they're in the end zone. So, shout
Alex
out to
Merrill
Kyle Hamilton.
says, should I go to the Maryland-Michigan game? Yeah, why not? If you have tickets, absolutely go. Why the hell wouldn't you go? About to get a steal from my friend. I got A.J. Brown, and he wants me to trade St. Brown for him.
Ooh.
Can I get the camera on me?
What's on your mind?
That's a steal? Look, I won't lie. I think that is pretty fair. But St. Brown right now looks like last year's Cooper Kupp in fantasy football. And you're, quote, going to get a steal for only A.J. Brown? For a guy that can... What's your record in fantasy football? What league do you play in? Who's the trade commissioner? I have questions.
Would you listen? Ryan offered me a trade yesterday, or he's been trying to offer me trades. No, Ryan Lentz.
Ryan Lentz is the worst person in fantasy football, by the way. The trades he sends are ridiculous.
Yeah, he offered me, and I want to hear your opinion on it, T. Higgins and DeAndre Swift for Amon-Ra.
It's a fair trade. That's a fair trade.
But I have...
But do you have a running back on the bench? Or, excuse me, do you have...
Currently I have Chubb and C-Mac.
Who's your flex?
Right now, I'd have to double check.
Jacoby Myers, right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, right now it's.
I mean, your team is significantly better after that trade.
Or it might be Miles Sanders actually.
Well, you get a wide receiver 1 and a running back 1. I think that's a fair trade, Jeff. You're getting 2 for 1. That's a lot of value. That's a lot of value.
That's tough, Ryan. If you're watching, stay out of my DMs. All right, stay out of my DMs.
I wouldn't make that trade, dude. I'm sorry. I would not make A.J. Brown's trade up for St. Brown. Right now, if I'm trading St. Brown, I'm trading him at his highest value. I'm asking for A.J. Brown and somebody I could consider starting at my flex. I'm sorry. I don't think that's really acceptable, but whatever. When we get back, we'll preview the Lions-Minnesota game, give our game predictions, final scores, thoughts, and more. Monday, I can't wait for Monday's show. We're going to have Jay from Let's Talk Lions.
It's going to be good.
We'll have Dose of Dion.
I might show up with the Buffs again. I mean, who knows?
You guys aren't ready for me. If the Lions win on Sunday, I swear to God.
You're going to want to be there.
You're not ready for what the hell is going to happen. You think Monday was bad? Watch out. Jeff, before we go, our good friends over at the Academy of Warren.
Guys, are you interested in expanding your career and making a difference in your community? The Academy of Warren offers that. It's for professionals that have a passion in working with students in the K-8 departments and more. For more information on how to apply, call them at 586-552-8010. They are the Academy of Warren.
It took exploring 50 different formulas and hosting countless taste tests, but we believe Gypsy Vodka is the smoothest vodka on the market. Don't believe us? Ask the owners.
We're Mike and Adam Kazanowski with High Five Spirits Distillery. We're in close to about 1,200 locations throughout Michigan. We wanted to create a brand that was geared more towards freedom, love, adventure, and at the end of the day, we really wanted to tell a story that inspired other people to take risks, follow their dreams, whatever that might be.
Hey, it's Goff from the Bet Show. It's Friday. Huge weekend of football in front of us. Can't wait to break it all down for you at 4:30 over at the Woodward Bets YouTube page. You know what? You also got to go over to that app store and download oddstrader.com. It's got live scoring, play-by-play updates, the best place to check all the odds for the sports books right in the palm of your hand. But hey, let's get back to those fun coupons. Let's stay hot. Listen, we're rolling with Eastern this weekend. Buffalo, one of the worst defensive teams in all of college football. Eastern rolls. Oddstrader.com. Woodward Bets. Check it out.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Oddstrader.com is the #1 site for your game day bets, play-by-play updates, live scores, and the best price from every game on multiple sports books. Guys, the Lions play the Vikings this week. If you're confident, go place them. They're going to be an underdog. Make some money on OddsTrader. Go to oddstrader.com right now for your best bet.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show, live from Big Boy here in Rochester Hills. Good morning, Fish. How you doing, buddy?
Doing okay. USA's not looking too good right now. They're disappointing me. But
give me the update.
They're down 1-0, so I'm
All
not
right.
too happy. They looked awful in the
All right.
first half. Awful.
They're down 1-0. What minute?
They're just entering the second half.
Second half just started?
Yeah.
USA sucks at soccer. I hope you know that.
But they're not that bad,
They
though.
suck.
You say, they're not, though. They have good players.
This country develops the best basketball players,
Yeah,
football
that's
players, the
true.
best women's soccer players in the world.
Yeah.
Not men.
Well, the men aren't bad, though.
The men are bad.
You guys could hear Stick right now, man.
You have to understand the difference between the men in this country and other countries. The men in other countries, Argentina, Brazil, Portugal, Italy, all these notable big-name countries, Belgium, they grow up playing soccer from the age of 2, probably till they're 13, 14. They get into the academies and they go.
You mean 2 months?
The point is,
right out of the room.
The point is, this country can never produce a Ronaldo, a Messi, Mbappe, none of these guys. It'll never happen because they never play soccer long enough.
What is Pulisic, then?
It's too organized. They have to go to school. These kids grow up dirt poor and develop into the superstars they are. There's a big difference, buddy. That's why the United States sucks. Sorry. Because of all of its benefits. It's kind of a contradictory thing, but it's the reality. So, U.S. sucks. God help them. Maybe they can make it out of the group stage this year. Who knows? I'll be rooting for them, but I'm just saying. They're not that good, buddy.
All right.
They have no striker.
They're not it, pal.
They have no striker.
Okay.
They have one good winger.
They're not it, buddy.
Yep, I know
They have
that.
one good right back, and that is it. And their goalie sucks.
I don't know who the goalie is.
Well, there you go.
He looks like he's young.
All right, we're back here on the morning show. That was our update with Fish. I can't wait for the World Cup. We gotta bug him a ton on it.
Oh, how do you not? Qatar.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. All right, Jeff. The Lions take on the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday. It's one of the interesting matchups for the weekend, man. You look across the league, the Lions, especially after that Minnesota loss on Monday to the Eagles, you're looking at Minnesota as an opportunity. But, Jeff, I have to say, I do think Minnesota will be able to run the ball at will.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see the Kirk Cousins we saw on Monday. I don't believe the secondary is capable of doing what Adarius Slay did, even though a lot of it was to the fault of Kirk Cousins. Minnesota, I believe, even on a short week, do bounce back. I have to give them the slight edge as home favorites. I think the Lions still cover. I think the Lions put up a damn good fight, but they just don't have enough. Give me the Vikings 27-26.
I'm gonna stay consistent. Although listen, my outlook on the season, what I've expected out of the Detroit Lions team has changed through 2 games. I did not expect them to be one of the best offenses. I didn't expect them to play. I did expect them to lose to Philly and beat Washington. So far, I'm 2-0. I got both the picks right. I'm gonna stay with my heart and go with Minnesota this week, although I can see the Lions also upsetting the Minnesota Vikings very closely. But to your point, I can see the Minnesota Vikings, even on a short week, bouncing back, being able to run the football. Kevin O'Connell has to have a bounce-back performance in terms of his coaching from last week, earlier this week, rather. But overall, this is the real first big test for the Detroit Lions. Divisional opponent. The NFC North is wide open, 1-1 for all teams in the NFC North. This is probably their most important game so far because of what it means in their division. Now, do I have them winning the NFC North? No. I still have the Packers 1, the Vikings 2. But this would set the pace. I mean, if you can beat the Minnesota Vikings, your first road game of the year on the road, it changes a lot. It changes not my expectations, but I guess
you have more
my
respect
evaluation
for
of this football team.
I would say more respect.
Yeah.
Look, the good teams find ways to win on the road.
They do.
The Lions have yet to do that, I believe, under Dan Campbell.
And really, historically, they've struggled with that, winning on the road against an opponent
winning
like
teams specifically, notably.
Exactly.
So, yes, if they go out and beat the Minnesota Vikings, who we believe are division contenders, I believe the division winner this year, that is quite the win. And then what we'll do next week is, well, you can't disappoint after that kind of win. You got to be Seattle. Like, I can already, envision it. But the reality for me, Jeff, I'm going to go 27-26. I think the Lions barely lose this football game. Not to coaching mistakes, not to the fault of their own. I just believe they won't have enough defensively to really put their offense and their team in a position where they can close out a game. I think Minnesota will answer toe-to-toe for the Lions. I think it's going to be a close game for all 4 quarters. Hell, it could develop into a shootout.
Right.
But Minnesota barely walks away with a win on Sunday.
And I think people have to understand, when I speak of people, I'm talking about Lions fans. When you see what the Eagles looked like in Week 1 and what the Vikings looked like against the Eagles, you cannot use that. And I get it. Well,
what do you mean?
The Lions scored 35 against the Eagles. The Vikings scored 7. And I get that. That's true.
Well, but it was a primetime game, and we all know primetime Kirk 2-10. I mean, let's not do that.
I was getting there. And another thing is, every team's going to be different from week to week. And talk about Week 1. Look at all the teams that lost Week 1 and how they look. Week 1 is such a... It's a tough one to use as an evidence to say that we can beat the Vikings. I think it'll be close, to your point. I would say the Vikings win... I'll say 31-27. I think the Lions lose by 4. Okay. I can see this being very close.
It's the first week we both agree on the result, by the way.
We do. In the last 2 weeks, confident in the Lions you were. And to an extent, for you to say Minnesota, it really means you're being truthful. This is what we see with Minnesota.
I had them beating Philly. I was wrong. I had them beating Washington. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I do have Minnesota winning, as much as it hurts me to say. I don't like to say it, but I have to be honest. It is a road game. I don't believe Dan Campbell, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe Dan Campbell has won a road game yet. They beat the Cardinals at home. The Vikings
tied
at home.
Pittsburgh. I guess that doesn't count.
No, and they beat Green Bay to end the season at home.
Yeah, no,
so
you're
they
right.
have not won a road game yet.
You're right.
That is I need to see it before I believe it. But boy, your first road game of the year, coming off 2 home games. On the road to Minnesota, who I think is a division winner this year. It's a tough road game. I think they play them close, but Jeff, they barely lose.
I'm with you. I think you're going to have a bounce-back game from Justin Jefferson, although I'd like to see the secondary be stout. It's Justin Jefferson. He's not going to have back-to-back bad weeks. Dalvin Cook is in for a must. He's in for a must in terms of his performance. He's got to have a better performance as opposed to Monday. He's going to be motivated. And the Lions, week 1, if they look like they looked against the Eagles, Dalvin Cook's going to have a field day. And it's going to be this chain reaction. If Dalvin Cook's able to run the football, Kirk's going to look better. If he can get rid of the football quicker, unlike he was doing against the Eagles, sitting back and dropping back every single time, he's going to look better. And defensively, depending on if Harrison Smith plays, I'm not sure if it's 100% yet. I have to double check. But if Harrison Smith's out the game, it's going to help the Lions a lot. But I still have Minnesota edging out just by a little bit.
What have both coaches shown at some point during the season so far? Early young season.
They can lose games.
They both have made decisions that cost their team a possession and points.
Right.
Not ideal. Which coach is more likely to cave? The one on the road or the one at home? I'm going to have to side with the one at home is likely to be in favor of the matchup.
Right.
Again, Kevin O'Connell, a rookie head coach, a home game against the Lions. Look at it. This isn't the same old Lions. I think the Lions are going to go in there and put up a fight. But as much as I want to envision a victory Monday, the reality is Za'Darius Smith, Danielle Hunter, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Kevin O'Connell. I like what Minnesota has to offer. Early in the year, there's an opportunity here for the Lions to pounce. It would take something special. It would take something that we didn't expect. But like we already have both agreed, the edge has to go to Minnesota.
Alex,
go for it.
could you put a poll up before, because we're going to go to break, but I want to see overall predictions, Lions or Vikings this week on Sunday. Who's winning that game? Because I see a lot of Lions in the chat. I see some Vikings as well. I'm curious to see what you guys think overall. Listen, I love the optimism, and I think certainly if the Lions beat the Vikings, are we going to be shocked? No. But the reality is, you got to make a prediction. I feel like
27-26. It wouldn't shock me if they turned that point around, to be honest with you. But let's take a quick pause. When we get back, we will discuss the best bets of the weekend. I can't wait. We'll give away the 5 bets, talk some fantasy football. We'll give our last thoughts going into the weekend. We'll get to Mailbag, of course, at 9:50. We'll answer all of your questions. But before we do, I got to tell you about Planet Fitness, home of the Judgment-Free Zone. Start today for $0 down, $10 a month. Your fitness is essential. Planet Fitness is the official studio sponsor, of course, of the Woodward Sports Network. And it is important for you to visit any Metro Detroit location or sign up today at planetfitness.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
When you need apparel, there's only one place to go. Big Frog in Novi. With no setup fees, no artwork fees, no minimum, and a 24-hour turnaround, you can have your whole team outfitted in no time. Embroidery, direct-to-garment, vinyl, and screen printing, Big Frog has it all in all the styles you want. So whether it's a sports team, fundraiser, school event, or corporate needs, Big Frog is your one-stop destination. Visit bigfrog.com/Novi or call 844-4-BIG-FROG.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Jeff Iafrate here. I'm going to tell you about our friends at Alta, because guys, at Alta, uptime always matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. You have a big project coming up, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show. Jeff, you know what time it is. One of my favorite times.
Before, I want to refer and just get the results right now and put it on blast.
Let's do
you can go to woodwardsports.com right now. The chat poll, 72% have the Lions winning.
Don't tell me you're surprised.
72% say the Lions win, 20% say the Vikings. Listen, I love the optimism. I really do. It shows that Lions fans are even bought in, which usually they are. But this season, they love what they've been seeing. But go ahead. Let's hear your best bets. I can't wait to hear it.
All right. Best bets of the weekend. We're going to take first Michigan to cover 17.5 points.
I love it.
Against Maryland. 100% J.J. McCarthy has his coming out party. I think Ronnie Bell's going to have a big game. Expect Roman Wilson to continue what he's doing. Eric All, we haven't heard much of him. Expect him to be a red zone threat down the stretch. Blake Corum, we'll see if Donovan Edwards plays. I really haven't gotten the latest info on Donovan Edwards, so we'll leave it there. But Blake Corum, electric. We know what he can bring to the table.
Right.
That's the first game. You know what? 2-0 on upsets last week. We called the Jets upset, even though it was very fortunate, by the way. And we called the Jaguars upset against the Colts. Right now, 6-4 on the year in best bets. 5 more bets for the weekend. We'll start, like I said, Michigan over Maryland. Take the points for Michigan. Another upset. First win of the year. The Carolina Panthers home to the New Orleans Saints. Again, we're going to keep riding the home underdog. I love it. It's one of my favorite bets. Get them at plus 126.
Wow.
Good money
for
the Carolina Panthers to beat a New Orleans Saints team that, let's be honest, will shoot themselves in the foot. They'll give the Carolina every opportunity. Christian McCaffrey is due for a breakout game. DJ Moore. Matt Rule is gone if they lose this game. Baker Mayfield needs to step up, but Matt Rule, I'm sorry, bud.
If he loses, you're
I tried
firing
to
him.
defend you last year. You started 3-0. Your team collapsed. You got to get better. You got to show more on offense. Carolina to win this game.
If Carolina loses this game, I'm firing Matt Rule, man. I think you've seen enough out of Matt Rule. No doubt about it.
All right, we're going to look. This was an interesting game. But the money for me is just, it's available. It's there in front of me. How can I not take it? Do I think they are the better team? I don't. Do I think that they have a chance to win this game legitimately? I do. But the money involved at the Bengals, you get you take them at 6 points, a touchdown favorite. You get them at -6. Jeff, on the road to New York, the Bengals are not starting off 0-3.
No, they're not.
They're winning this football game, and they will win it in convincing fashion. Joe Burrow will recover. -114, almost even money. I am hammering the Bengals. They were almost my best bet of the weekend.
I love it.
The Bengals, 6 points. Give me it all day.
That was my lock of the weekend, Jeff and Gentry. I'm with you.
We got another underdog.
Oh, who do we got?
I've had them in every week I've bet so far. Justin Herbert is dealing with rib cartilage injuries. He's going to have to get shot up before the game. He's going to be dealing with a lot of pain. Josh Allen coming off the edge.
Hopefully they don't
Trevor
stab him
Lawrence.
in the lung. They don't want to stab him in the lung.
This is a close game. As much as I want to give the underdog line away, I want to take Jacksonville to win.
Oh.
I really do. But as a responsible bettor, take Jacksonville at +7. They will cover. Jacksonville will cover. I don't think they have enough to beat Los Angeles. For the Chargers, they cannot afford to lose this game.
No, they can't.
Give me Jacksonville with the points, though. I think 7 points is the most they will lose by. Expect a push. I think it's a 27-24, a 30-27 football game. The Chargers barely squeak it out. My best bet of the weekend. My absolute lock.
Oh, here we go.
The one that will not, ever, 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 ever go wrong. Jeff, we haven't brought up the Lions and Vikings game yet.
Oh, here we go.
And if I'm honest with you, there's one factor that we all need to consider in this game. Anytime touchdown scores, right? Where's the most value I can get out of this game for an anytime touchdown score? I get Dalvin Cook -185, Jefferson 175, Amon-Ra at plus money, DeAndre Swift at plus money. But the individual I'm going for to get a touchdown, nope. We're going to take Irv Smith Jr.
Oh,
plus
okay.
320. You put in $10, you get $32. You put in $100, you get $320. My lock of the weekend, Irv Smith. Anytime touchdown score against the Detroit Lions.
He had a touchdown last week in garbage time against the Philly, or earlier in the game, I should say. It was the only touchdown, not in garbage time, by the way. But also, I had no issue with it. I think Irv Smith, very liable, especially with the linebacker core. If Malcolm Rodriguez can keep up the performance he's been having, we'll see. We'll see. I don't hate it at plus 300. I mean, it's good money. I mean, that's easy money.
If you want to parlay them all, be my guest. So far, 6-4 on the year with bets. The goal is to go 4-1 this weekend and really take it to the next level. Be 10-5 by the time we get into week 4. Having said that, anytime touchdown scorer Irv Smith, Michigan to cover the points against Maryland. You've got Jacksonville to cover the points against Los Angeles, the Bengals to cover against the Jets on the road, and then, of course, the home underdogs, Carolina to beat New Orleans at plus 126. Those are my 5 bets of the weekend. Transition, Jeff, to fantasy football. Who you play this week?
I play
Woodward Fantasy League.
Listen,
I play Justin Slanik.
Did you know me and you were really the only 2 teams that are 2-0?
I mean, let's be honest.
I'd have
Last
to
year, me and
double-check.
you ran the table.
Oh, no, you're playing a 2-0 team.
Yep,
Justin.
Me and you ran the table last year. Sorry, Stick. Me and you ran the table last year. It
In
was
our
too
league,
easy
I
for
should
us.
say.
It was too easy for us.
Mhm.
We ended up in the final, and the rest is history. This year, we're going to do it again.
And I'm facing Michael Gentry this week, and I'm just
Gentry
going to say
sucks.
he's getting an ass whooping. I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
Gentry
that's,
sucks.
That's how it is. I face him. I think I'm projected 136. He's projected 108. So I
I'm
think
projected 127. Justin is projected 114. He's got Herbert, Etienne, Edwards-Helaire, Jamar Chase, Debo, Darren Waller, the Rams defense, and Tucker at kicker. I've got Josh Allen, Antonio Gibson, Damian Harris, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Travis Kelce, Darnell Mooney, who has absolutely killed me, but I'll live with it. I may have to bench Darnell Mooney this week. We'll see. Maybe I'll put in Chase Edmonds or Robert Woods. That's a wait and see at this point.
I started this week. It was listen, I'm going to say I benched Amari Cooper. I was a little skeptical of the Jacoby Brissett-Amari Cooper connection at Game 1. So far, it's working. I will be starting Amari Cooper moving forward, but still up against Michael Gentry, even without Amari Cooper.
All right,
So that's good news, as always.
Yep. I typically share my personal life with a lot of you, right? I like to open up about what I do in my off time, right? So in my big money fantasy league this week, I play a teacher, actually. A teacher at Laurie Middle School.
Yep.
Out in Dearborn. His name is Naeem. And this guy sucks. Because last year he beat me in week 1, and he didn't win a single game for the rest of the year.
Are you serious?
I swear to you. So this year, the person that beat me week 1, I expect to finish last again, right? We have this trend. Every year I've ever gotten beaten in week 1, that same team has gone on and finished last in the league. I am projected to lose this week, actually. He's got Tua, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Montgomery, Damian Pierce, Kyle Pitts, and Rashad Bateman. I've got Lamar, St. Brown, McLaurin, Javonte Williams, Derrick Henry, Dawson Knox, and Cam Akers. I am considering, though, dropping Akers and starting either Darnell Mooney or Tyler Lockett. I haven't made a decision on that yet. But beyond the point, Naeem, you suck. You're going to lose this week. You have the worst team in the league. It's literally smelly. It's awful. Nobody likes your team. Nobody wants to trade with you. I offered you Christian McCaffrey. And who else did I offer you? I offered you the house for Jamar Chase, and you said no. So I don't like you. You're going to lose. I can't say anything else because, we're at a live broadcast right now. I can't do
Hand
that
deliver that L to him, Adam. Hand deliver that L.
100%.
I cannot wait. Fast forward, by the way, at Woodward Sports, we have 2 leagues broken up. Stick, you're 2-0. In your league currently, Maz is 2-0. They've been performing.
I can't believe Maz is 2-0. I mean, he is literally the definition of a handicap player.
No, dude, Maz knows his stuff.
He finished last year in our league.
Yeah, he
Stop.
did. He's 2-0 right now.
He's 2-0 because he played Maddie week 1, all right? I got Maddie this week. Oh, so congratulations.
He's flexing. Yeah, he faces Maddie. We'll see.
All right,
We'll
let's
see.
take a quick pause. When we get back, we'll answer all of your questions. Make sure you drop your questions in the chat, and we'll be right back here live at Big Boy with Mailbag Time. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Gypsy R. That's me, buddy.
That is you.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Well, I'll tell you what my official drink of Sunday is, and that is the Mulligan with Gypsy Vodka. On Sundays, when you're watching a Lions game like I do, you got to get that iced tea, lemonade, Gypsy Vodka mix. The Mulligan is the ultimate drink of the summer and the ultimate drink of Sundays for me. 8% alcohol. Support local. Gypsy Vodka. The Mulligan, the go-to drink for me. Guys, just do me a favor, drink responsibly.
For a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not a Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. The chili cheese is such a tease. Guess what else is new? The bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? Chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, nacho fries. What will it be? Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Let me tell you about our friends at Big Boy, because, guys, you can get a free Woodward Sports t-shirt. That's right, a free Woodward Sports t-shirt all month long at Big Frog and Novi. It's not just that. They'll help out with youth sports. If you have a son or brother at Big Frog.
Big Frog.
Yeah.
Big Frog.
Yeah, you said Big Boy at the start.
Big Frog.
Sorry, I was
Big
having a
Frog.
conversation about the Slim Jim, so I'm in Big Boy. Big Frog. It's not just getting a free t-shirt, by the way. It's helping out with youth sports. They can print jerseys. They'll do it all at Big Frog. Go to Big Frog and Novi today. Get your free t-shirt, or visit them online at bigfrog.com/Novi.
All right, a lot of you in the chat are convincing me about starting Cam Akers. Believe me, I want to ride him. Stick just gave me advice on keeping him. The touches are only going to continue to go up. I'd probably ride with Akers, but he has been so bad, man. 0 points, 8 points. It's got to be 15, 17 points.
For you to
He's
be
got to show
convinced,
what he is, or I'm going to start Lockett or Mooney, and Mooney's been awful as well, too. Any update on what Pascal or how Pascal is doing and what he will and when he will be back? I haven't heard anything of the latest, but he can't return probably until what, week 5,
Yeah,
excuse
he's
me.
still dealing with that hernia injury, and I know people should have drafted
Eric
Malik
Allen
Willis.
says, don't drop Akers. You'll be upset down the road. No, I'm not going to drop him, but he's going to go to my bench. Adam, am I crazy to think that Oregon State will cover versus USC +7? Yeah, no. You are crazy, Jesse. I love you, but USC, they've covered every week. They are unbelievable. Caleb Williams, phenomenal. Jordan Addison, you know the deal. They're going to cover. Should I start Pollard over Jacobs at running back or JK if he comes back? I would.
Ooh.
Wow.
JK against the Patriots defense, that's a tough one.
Who does Vegas play?
They play this week. I'd have to check. It's a winnable game, I think. Let me check real quick. I just talked about this too.
Question for y'all: who had the harder path building a trade, or a team? Joe Dumars.
Oh, they play the Titans.
Finding season
They
guys.
play the Titans. That's a tough one.
Both are good matchups.
I would
you
probably
can't go
start
wrong
Jacobs.
either way. Or Troy Weaver starting with a healthy stretch of young guys.
Scott says, Mailbag, Adam and Jeff, I need your help. Do I drop Cam Akers? No.
Well, damn, dude, I just read you a question.
No. What was the question? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go on. Tell me the question. What's
Question. Who had the harder path in building a team, Joe Dumars or Troy Weaver? So I'm going to side with Dumars right now. One, because it was a proven product, right? Detroit's not a winner yet under Troy Weaver. And number two, he did draft number 1 overall Cade Cunningham. It's a little difficult because when Joe took over, this was an irrelevant team. They started making the playoffs. They slowly got their stuff together. And what really turned it around was the Larry Brown hire, the Rasheed Wallace trade, and some of the trades he made before you even heard of it back in 2001, 2002. I mean, can I say they're different? The way they're going about building it is different. So it's hard for me to compare because if Troy Weaver leads this team to success, that is amazing. It's an accomplishment, but that is very difficult. Stick, have a seat because, this is an interesting conversation. Obviously, we share Joe Dumars' love, but I just think it's different, tough to compare.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly where I was going to go. Joe Dumars had assets, right? He had Grant Hill. He had players to trade to go get other players. When Weaver took over, our biggest asset was Blake Griffin. So we didn't have assets. He's doing it through the draft. We really didn't do that with Joe Dumars. It was all through trades. So that's why. I mean, through the draft, look, Cade Cunningham and Ivy and Duran.
Sadiq Bey in middle of the round.
Bey,
I mean, it's
Isaiah
Stewart, Killian Hayes.
So, but I'm with you guys. I would say probably Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars gets a lot of flack, by the way, for some people, and it's ridiculous. I mean, come on, guys. Context matters. By the way,
I just think it's so different.
Context matters.
I just think it's so different. It's very difficult for me to wrap my brain around it, especially when Troy Weaver's product isn't a successful product yet.
No, it's too early.
It's very early. So let's have that conversation 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now. How about that?
Compare both their legacies. I'm all for it.
I'm good with it. All right, let's see what other questions we have in the chat. Let's see. Patterson or Garrett Wilson at the flex? I'd go Patterson. Cordero.
Yeah, I would too. He's
been
picking up right where he left off. Yeah,
he's consistent.
He's facing the Seahawks this week. No Jamal Adams.
Fish. Let's see what else we got here. Fish on stick slap. Hey, Fish, that's some weird stuff, buddy. Who takes more of Kaminsky's snaps, Benito Jones or Brockers? Jeff?
That's a tough one. I guess it really depends. I mean, for AG, I trust who he's going to evaluate. I think Julian Okora is a guy who's going to play a lot this week. I'm excited because he had a career year last season, and he's somebody that I think has a lot of potential. But it's going to be hard. I mean, John Comiskey, we talk about this team leading the NFL in quarterback pressures. A lot of that has to do with John Comiskey last game. I think he played solid, a guy that came out of nowhere. And again, that proves coaching. You're getting the most out of guys. Despite who it is, they're going to be fine. I think they're going to hurt a little bit, but whoever steps in, all that matters is you have Aiden Hutchinson, and he's going to do his job this week. So we'll see.
Fair enough. All right, what other questions do we have in the chat? Basketball Blue Bloods meeting in football. Kansas 7-point home favorites against Duke. Who you got? Give me Duke on the upset. Give me Duke on the upset, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Duke. Although Kansas has actually been making some noise lately, at least in football, I'm still going to lean Duke. Yeah, I'll go Duke on that, even though Kansas is -7 at home.
All right, Jesse Adams, let's see. College football playoff parlay, fellas. What do you think? Michigan State money line, Arkansas money line, Washington State money line, Oregon State to cover, Texas Tech to cover 10 points, Rutgers to cover 7.5 points, plus 68.53. I'm thinking of throwing $10 on it. $10 would pay out $685. So not bad at all. Not bad of a payout. I'd go for it, Jesse. I don't mind it at all. How many drops will Hawkinson have this weekend? 15. 15 drops. He'll continue his awful ways. Boyan coming off the bench with Killian? I think so. Could he be a starter?
I think he could. Don't be surprised if he's starting. I'll tell you that. No, he would start. What, you talking about Bojan? He'd be the 3 or the 4. He might even start over Bagley.
Wow, that'd be interesting. They're going to have a lot of options. Do you think
flexibility, of course.
Do you think Okudah will be cornerback 1 by the end of the year? Amani looked slow and wasn't good in coverage at all week 1. I hope so, but let's see how they do against Minnesota. Better chance to make the playoffs this upcoming season. The Wings or the Pistons? I'm going to go with the Wings.
Yeah, Wings, definitely. You got to look at the Pistons, look how tough the East is, and especially with the Red Wings. They're in a tough division as well, but I have more confidence in the Red Wings right now than I do the Pistons. There's still a lot of things you got to figure out with the Pistons, so we'll see. All right, Cook or Swift this weekend? You have to pick one. Cook or Swift?
Yes. I got Cook having a breakout game. I know Swift's
think he'll have
been
a great
phenomenal.
game, but
he's more proven so far to start the year.
It's hard to compare because I think DeAndre in the receiving side of things could have a big game. I'm going to go with Delvin just because he has to have a good performance this week, man. He has to.
Fair enough. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys all for joining us this morning. Remember, Big D Energy will be live from 11 to 1. Armani and Edwards live as well from 2 to 4 here at Big Boy out in Rochester Hills. Ladies and gentlemen, can't thank you enough for joining us. Make sure you visit us at woodwardsports.com. Make sure you're following us, of course, on Twitter. Make sure you're following us on Instagram if you haven't already. We're always doing really cool giveaways, so make sure you're following. You can enter for your chance to win a multitude of prizes. So, ladies and gentlemen, for Jeff, myself, Alex, Fish, thank you so much. We're out of here. You all have a good rest of your day. We'll see you at 11 o'clock.
Shout out to Big Boy.
Go USA. Have a good weekend, everyone.